At CES 2025, we finally had the chance to go hands-on with the PImax Crystal Super, which was supposed to go out to paying customers this month already. With this launch window in mind, I was wondering why I did not receive a pre-production unit earlier to record content about the Super. Now I know. It simply is not ready yet. At CES, we checked out pre-production samples from the DVT stage, which is still a month away from actual mass production if the standard process of quality hardware development is followed. Still, we could already see the headset's potential to be one of the most important PCVR headsets for enthusiasts in 2025. There's a lot to like here, but unfortunately, it also comes with some drawbacks that hopefully still can be fixed until the device goes out to consumers. There's lots of ground to cover, so absolutely stay tuned, watch the whole video because all of this goodness is coming up. Let's start with the basics. The PImax Crystal Super is the successor to the PImax Crystal Lite. It's a wide PCVR headset that finally comes in an updated, smaller housing that is about 30% smaller than the Crystal Lite. In terms of weight, it is about the same unfortunately, and we will talk about that when we get to the comfort section. The upgrades come in the visuals. The headset now features a higher resolution of 3840 by 3840 pixels per eye. That are a lot of pixels, and if you're wondering, yes, these are the same panels that I use in the Vario XR4. The headset also offers eye tracking, automatic IPD adjustment, and a bigger FOV of 120 degrees horizontal, according to PImax. So, this should all be a nice upgrade to your PImax Crystal Lite. The headset can only be purchased through the PImax Prime subscription and costs around $1,800. Let's talk about the visuals. Yes, this headset looks great. What directly wowed us is the incredible brightness. Especially the DCS demo was so bright, it felt like you should better wear sunglasses within the headset to protect your eyes. This should be one of the brightest VR headsets out there, and if you enjoy bright virtual worlds, this may be for you. Also, the high resolution is visible, and it's a noticeable step up from the Crystal Lite. However, the Crystal Lite with its 2880 by 2880 pixels per eye already has such a good picture quality that we slowly can expect only diminishing returns. Displays. So, let's get into detail. We know these QLED displays from the Vario XR4. They are incredibly bright and colors are vibrant and lifelike. They come with local dimming that has much more dimming zones than the Crystal Lite offered. And we could tell when testing out AirCar. The blacks were truly black and the neon colors still popped. It did not feel like the whole picture was dimmed down, a problem we often experience with the Crystal Lite. So as far as colors and resolution are concerned, these panels really shine and will make many of you very happy. Unfortunately, they also come with some problems. In the pre-production units we tested at CES, Mura was painfully visible. Especially in those bright scenes, like looking at the sky in DCS, you could see the typical Mura irregularities. And just like in the Vario XR4, the dreaded tiger stripes are back. These are visible vertical lines or brighter and darker areas vertically next to each other. It is simply nothing that you want to see in a headset that will set you back around $2,000. PImax says they are aware of these issues and that they will fix that for the production units. I'm personally not too optimistic about that though, and will believe it only when the majority of customers gets flawless panels. Lenses. The lenses looked good. They are still aspheric glass lenses like in the Crystal Lite. They still introduce distortions if you are not in the distortion sweet spot, just like every other aspheric lens does. I had a good visual experience from edge to edge, and comparing them to the crystal lenses, they even seem to be a bit better as far as edge-to-edge clarity is concerned. I will give you a more in-depth assessment once I have access to a review unit. But so far, everything seemed fine about these lenses. FOV. The field of view is one of those improvements of the Super over the Crystal Lite. It is indeed bigger, and I would compare it to the FOV of the PSVR 2. PImax says the Super has around 120 degrees horizontal FOV, and that should be about right this time. We actually measured the FOV using the Test HMD application, and both Marco and I got to 180 degrees horizontal and 88 degrees vertical FOV. The vertical measurement seems not impressive, but it did not feel as small as it sounds. The distortion profile that was running on this specific headset seemed to render a bit less of FOV to minimize distortion problems. So we will have to wait with final measurements once we get hands on a production unit. But again, FOV seemed nice, and together with the high resolution and the bright picture, you will have a good time in VR. Binocular overlap. The binocular overlap here is acceptable. It is nothing to write home about, but it's much better than what the Vario XR4 offers, and that is good news. I could not recommend the XR4 to anyone because of the dismal binocular overlap. So now finally, thanks to the Super, we can enjoy these high resolution panels with a better stereo overlap. It's still not fantastic though, and probably comparable to what you get in the Quest 3, but well, it is acceptable at least. Distortions. Unfortunately, these pre-production headsets were still plagued with distortions. The distortion profile simply did not feel correctly dialed in yet. When moving around, objects would distort very noticeably, changing their geometry. In our very first demo, we even had pupil swim, but it seems there was only a problem of that certain demo. We had to visit the PImax booth twice for a second take, because on the very first day, the distortion problems were so severe that I personally could not enjoy the headset at all. When we came back 2 days later, the team had updated the firmware that was then using a better distortion profile that this preview is now based on. It was still not perfect, but I believe PImax can still polish this until the headset is being sent out to actual customers. Eye tracking. Unfortunately, these pre-production units did not have eye tracking installed yet, so therefore we could not test its accuracy or find out about how much of a performance boost it could give us. So again, this is not yet ready for prime time, and it would need a couple of more months for sure to become a viable product from my estimation. Comfort. Now let's talk about the new headset design. It is indeed smaller than before, while still sticking to the typical PImax design elements. It is simply a smaller PImax Crystal. Unfortunately, the weight did not change a lot, so this is not a lightweight. More importantly, the head strap is now more of a halo style design. All of the weight is now held by a forehead cushion, and the rest of the facial interface is merely a soft rubber material to keep out the light, very comparable to the design of the Meganex Superlight 8K, for example. The big difference, unfortunately, is the weight of the headset though. While in general I love the Halo style concept and it is incredibly comfortable with very light headsets, my first impression here was not as impressive as I had hoped for. All the weight is now concentrated on only your forehead, and when doing quicker head movements there is a lot of inertia. More than with the Crystal Lite actually. It was so bad that the internal IMUs would register my movements as knocking on the side of the headset, which then activated the pass-through mode. We had more stability and less inertia with the standard face gasket design of the Crystal Lite. Of course, these are only my first impressions after using the headset for only a short session. It felt okay, but not like a big improvement compared to the Crystal Lite that I'm using with the Studio Form mods. Audio. The headsets were equipped with the standard S-Mass audio solution, but can be upgraded to the better D-Mass audio. The Expo environment was too loud to actually judge the sound. I personally would prefer the device to ship with a better audio solution from the get-go, especially considering the premium price. Controllers and tracking. Nothing has changed here, and we are still using the same crystal controllers. That is perfectly fine though, and the inside-out tracking of the headset also worked just as good as we remember it from the Crystal Lite. However, in the demos we could not really test controller tracking because we were in flight sims most of the time. So we will have to postpone the final judgment to when the final review unit is available. Conclusion. The PImax Crystal Super has a lot of potential. Once it's ready and all distortion and mirror problems are solved, as well as eye tracking built in, this could actually be one of the most exciting headsets for PCVR enthusiasts out there. It is a good step up from the Crystal Lite in terms of resolution, brightness, local dimming and FOV. If that incremental step is worth the additional $1,000 on top of the Crystal Lite's asking price though, depends on you. For many this will be the case, and that includes me as well, but the Crystal Lite still offers the best bang for its buck and an exceptional visual quality for an under $1,000 asking price, while not being plagued by the mirror problems that the Super owners most likely will have to get used to. So at this point in time, with the early DVT pre-production unit we saw here that still had too many problems, I could not really recommend to pre-order the headset, but instead I would wait and find out if PImax can really solve the panel problems for the final mass production units. The PImax Crystal Lite though is much cheaper, available right now, and might be a very good alternative for many of you that are looking for a visual upgrade in VR. I'm personally still looking very much forward to this headset though, because it does improve on what we have right now, even it's not a complete game changer. So thanks to PImax for sticking to PCVR and constantly improving our favorite pastime. I really hope that you enjoyed this preview of the PImax Crystal Super. If yes, give it a thumbs up, and of course absolutely subscribe to this channel if you want more CES coverage, and of course to find out about the final PImax Crystal Super once a review unit hits the MRTV headquarters. That's everything I have for now. If you want to discuss this with me and the community, absolutely join the MRTV Discord server. The link is down in the description of this video. And now I want to hear from you. Are you going to pre-order the PImax Crystal Super, or have you already pre-ordered it? And what are your thoughts about the device now that you've heard about our first impressions? Do let us know in the comment section. That's everything we have for now. I'm looking forward to see you in the next one. Until then, bye-bye.